I know that it's kind of become a joke at this point, but I've been dead serious for the last 10 or so years. I miss the old Kanye. Kanye West, in my opinion, he's the greatest hip hop artist, not rapper, but artist of all time. I remember when I was a kid and I heard College Dropout for the first time. I'm talking All Falls Down, Slow Jams, Jesus Walk, one of the greatest debut albums of all time. This man came out the gate with an album like College Dropout, and then he followed that up with Late Registration, followed that up with Graduation, which is my personal favorite Kanye West album, and then 808s and Heartbreak. 808s and Heartbreak was such a risk to do at the time, and then My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, in my opinion, is the greatest hip hop album of all time. This album is perfect. This album should be in a museum. Kanye was giving us the best instrumentals, the best songs, becoming a fashion icon. I will never forget he had y'all wearing those stupid sunglasses. He told the entire world that George Bush hates black people. He interrupted Taylor Swift on stage, and while I don't agree with how he did it, the reason he did it was correct. As a creative, I feel like Kanye was always looked at as a genius. I mean, it was a point in time where it seemed like he could do no wrong. Like every single thing he touched seemed to turn into gold. And I've always said this, if Kanye retired after he dropped My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, he would have by far had the greatest hip hop discography of all time. But I feel like that all changed in 2013. I feel like in 2013, that's when the line got drawn in the sand for a lot of people. And it was, you had the old Kanye and you had the new Kanye. Do not get me wrong, Kanye has always been crazy. He has one of the best episodes of Punk'd, if you're old enough to remember that TV show. For a lot of people, if you ask them when was the shift in Kanye, they would probably go back to 2007 when his mother passed away. But to me, even back then, with all the craziness that Kanye was doing, he still wasn't as bad as he is today. But the way Kanye has moved his entire career, he always seemed to be a little off, if you get what I'm saying. But around that Yeezus era, it just seemed like he got more and more lost in the sauce. The Kanye that I grew up on and loved, he was a perfectionist. I remember reading about Kanye talking about Dark Twisted Fantasy, and he simply described the album as perfect. I remember hearing a story about him mixing and mastering Stronger like 40 times, and he had Timbaland helping him in the studio with his drums. I remember seeing the behind the scene videos of him at rehearsals practicing with this beautiful orchestra. Anything that Kanye did early in his career, he wanted it to be the best that it could possibly be. And then around the Yeezus era, he started working with Rick Rubin, and I remember reading articles about him saying how he was purposely wanting to strip things away, how he purposely wants to distort a lot of sounds, how he purposely wants it to sound rough, and he's been on this wave for like the last few years now. I don't care what nobody says. To me, going by Kanye standards, Yeezus is a absolute garbage album. I've always thought Life of Pablo was extremely overrated, and this is going to sound blasphemous, but I actually do like the Ye album that he dropped in like 2017. I actually thought that album was okay, but then with the whole Christian wave, we don't even need to talk about that stuff. And then Donda, I thought was extremely forgettable. Vultures 1, I thought was cool. I did a review on that. Check that out. And then they just dropped Vultures 2 like 2 weeks ago. I have not listened to it yet. And honestly, I don't really care to. This man has just seemed to be getting worse and worse over the years. Like, I remember when Life of Pablo came out, I hated that he got so much applause for that album because this man was literally live tweaking his album weeks after it came out. You know how your phone gets updates? This man was updating his album weeks after its release. This man would change a line here. He might change how the beat was arranged on this song. He might change the mixing a little bit, which to me, that's just corny. To me, that's cheating, but maybe that's just me being an old man. And honestly, that's the reason why I haven't been really pressed to listen to Vultures 2, because apparently he's doing the same thing. Like, do not release an album if it's not finished. But musically, he's just not the same anymore. Like, remember a few years ago, whenever you would see a Kanye West feature on the album, you would get really excited? I haven't felt that way in years. So musically, he started to change. He got married to Kim Kardashian, fine ass, had a bunch of beautiful kids, and you would think or hope that when a man gets married and have kids, that it would change him for the better. He got worse. I've never been super big into fashion, but Kanye has always been well dressed and just always looked cool. But then he had everyone dressing like Walking Dead zombies and background characters on The Matrix. We talking about a man who told the entire world George Bush don't like black people. He used to make music referencing the black struggle, and then you fast forward and over the years, he seems like he's turned into this person who lives for the approval and recognition of white people. Kanye early in his career seemed to be really pro-black. Like I said, he had multiple songs where he would reference the black struggle, but to see him go up to TMZ and go into a room full of majority white people and look at that camera and say that slavery was a choice, and if you just look at that clip, you can tell that Kanye surrounds himself with nothing but yes men, people who will not check him, people who who would let him say and do whatever he wants. And that's the excuse that Kanye always uses. Oh, aren't you seeing that I'm being a free thinker? Aren't you glad that I'm thinking freely? And it's like, yeah, I'm glad that you're able to think for yourself. Congratulations, pat yourself on the back. You're just an idiot. You can see in that TMZ clip, as soon as Van Lathan checked him, he shut right the hell up. I don't really want to get into politics on this channel, but if you would have asked me back in like 2003 if I could ever see Kanye West supporting somebody like Donald Trump and then saying that his hat and his merchandise will make him feel like a superhero, I would say shut the f up. And I know a lot of people hate the Kardashians, especially Kim. I am not saying she's perfect. I don't know her. I don't follow that entire family enough to get a gauge on her character as a human, but she was getting killed and it seems like all she wanted was to keep an eye on her child. And honestly, I don't blame her. I mean, look at the way Kanye moves publicly. I can't imagine on what he's like on a day-to-day. Like, his now wife Bianca is always walking around barefoot and basically naked in public. He seems to act even more erratic in his interviews where he's constantly contradicting himself, and you can see him physically shut down whenever he's verbally checked by someone. This man was on the Christian wave for like 2 weeks and then went right back to the way he was living. This man literally tried to force himself into the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. He's been doing this thing over the last few years where he'll say a line and then he'll repeat that same exact line just over and over again. And based on this snippet that I heard from Vultures too, he's even at a point where he's just straight up mumbling on a record. This man has songs that are factually incorrect. This man said, I keep it 300 like the Romans. I think you mean the Spartans. I was in too deep like Mekhi Phifer. Mekhi Phifer was not in that movie for a single second. Then a few days ago, I started reading about this dentist named Thomas Connelly or Connelly or something like that. Kanye's old chief of staff named Milo, who's also a piece of shit. Just remember, this is all alleged. But he says that Kanye's dentist got him hooked on nitrous or laughing gas, and he says that it's basically rotting his brain. Obviously, I hope that story isn't true, and these are all allegations. Nothing to my knowledge has been confirmed at this point. I don't know what type of medication Kanye has been on. I mean, Kanye over the years, I feel like he's complained a lot about doctors and people in general trying to kill him. I know his weight, it seems like, has been up and down a lot over the last few years. So I don't know what's going on. I just don't want to wake up one morning and I got a notification on my phone that something bad happened. I miss the old Kanye. He was a big part of my childhood. I just hope that he's okay. Damn, I completely forgot about the whole Jewish and anti-Semitic thing he had going on. This man's shoes is on Adidas right now for like 50% off. When have you ever seen that? But I miss the old Kanye, and it just sucks that we'll probably never get him back. This man came into the culture and just pushed it forward every single time. This man came into the music industry and changed it time and time again. And regardless of what anyone thinks about him, even if you disagree with him, with his politics, with his antics, his beliefs, whatever, at the end of the day, when it comes to this music, he's one of the greatest to ever do it. But thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new here. We talk about a bunch of different things on this channel. What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on Kanye's career? And what are your thoughts on this whole dentist situation? Like, apparently it's a deep rabbit hole to go down. I haven't looked into it that deeply, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Love you guys. Tell us when you love them. Until next time, see you in the next life.